Hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining us. You have joined us here at Tips for the Transition, the Career Roadmap podcast. And we come to you every week here on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And also on your favorite podcast channels. I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan, career and life coach for women, and I'm your host. And I love to create resources like these podcast episodes to help women navigate career and life uh, with more ease and grace, and to let them know that they are not alone. So each weekly conversation with an inspiring woman each time is intended to help women around the world become more confident, resilient, and brave as they face their careers and their lives. So, if anything strikes a chord during this conversation, please take a look below the video for more information and links that you can get uh, for my guest and for me. You can get more information about what we do. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever been on a vacation or a retreat and noticed that there's this heightened awareness of the sights and sounds around you? It's probably because you're more relaxed and more open. Well, I met a colleague coach who uses travel as a tool for self discovery. And I was so intrigued by her approach that I thought I would bring her here to meet you. Sonia Cruz Oro is originally from Spain and now lives in Ireland. She's actually coming to us from Barcelona today, where she's staying with her parents. And she has a story that will inspire you if you've ever felt like getting away is what you need to do. Sonia is a certified travel coach, an organizational psychologist, and founder of Travel Awakens. Having experienced her own transformation through travel, Sonia helps individuals, couples, and groups to enjoy travel as a means to achieve the experiences, goals, and transformation they seek. She provides a comprehensive travel and personal development service by combining the best of travel planning with life coaching. With her background in psychology and executive leadership, Sonia is also the author of How to Create the Life You Desire and the host of the Travel Coach podcast series. So let me welcome Sonia. Hello,
Hi, Maria.
Sonia.
Hello, Maria. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much for joining us from Barcelona, where I understand today it's very sunny.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yes, sunny here in Arizona as well. So it's a great day to have a conversation about how travel can help us discover who we really are and who we want to become.
Definitely.
I love that. I love that. So let's just get started. So please share a little bit about your background and career and what caused this reinvention of yourself as a travel coach.
Sure. My background is in IT, in corporate IT. I was working since, very young, my early 20s, in a software company here in Spain. And after a few years, getting promotions, and my goal was like going up in the corporate ladder. Getting promotions, I just was offered the opportunity to grow, expand internationally. So I moved to Ireland, where I currently live with my husband. By then was single, and I moved to Ireland, and I just thought this was the opportunity, the promotion of my life. But a couple of years after, I was finding myself in the same situation I was before moving to Ireland. And this is where, after making a few decisions, I just discovered travel coaching.
Okay. So I understand that you did some of your own transformation through travel. So help us understand what it is you learned as you traveled that led you to becoming a travel coach?
Yeah, so it was in this moment of my life that on paper, I was successful, or I had everything that I in my mind was something like would always dream about having, but inside I didn't feel fulfilled or 100% happy. I was just feeling like every promotion I was getting at the moment was like a big height, a big happiness. But after a few months, I was already in the same place. So it was a moment that I was offered a big job, like being the director of this multinational company, and in one department there in customer service, which is my background. And I saw clearly in that moment that I didn't want to go for that promotion. It felt like was not me at all. It was like, going higher at these levels. I had to, have this internal challenge and conversation with myself why I really wanted that. Was because of more money. I was already earning good money in my current job, so was not that. Of course, it's always good to have more money, but was not that. So was maybe the recognition or the title. I was not sure why I was doing that. It's like I was doing that without thinking, out of automatic, the next logical step. But when I stopped and I thought, I realized I really didn't want. I didn't see myself happy in that role. So I decided, after a lot of internal struggle, not to go for this promotion. But then suddenly, after all my life doing the same, I didn't know what to do. So I saw myself in this end of a street without exit, and it's when I thought I don't want to jump to another job, or I don't want to jump to another role, another company. I really needed time for myself, and I was moving the focus inside. I start looking inside what I really want to do, what I'm really passionate about, what I could do, for the rest of my life, and even not being paid, and enjoy and be happy with. And the travel came to my mind in that moment. I knew that I was passionate about travel. If I win the lottery, what I would do with my life and my time is just traveling around the world. But for some reason, I realized as well that I didn't do it as much as I wanted. So I was at my late 30s and thinking still that one day I will travel more. And that day, I was just postponing and postponing and procrastinate. So at that time, that moment, was the moment I decided to prioritize travel. I decided to, yeah, just invest more on my travel, my trips. I did 15 trips to 11 countries in 12 months. This was 2019. And after that, well, that situation, because I was still working full time in this managerial position I was, but this just changed my mind. This was just an absolute mind blowing for me. But what happened after that was even more surprising. After that was actually when the transformation arrived for me. So I was single for many years. I just met my husband between my trips. And also I eventually, after 20 years, I quit my job in corporate and I started my business online on travel coaching. I discovered that what happened to me, this transformation I experienced, was not something isolated, was actually, science. There is a scientific explanation behind, and it's actually happened to many people. Travel helps you transform and from the inside out. And this is what I'm doing now, helping other people do as well.
I love that. What I love about the story that you just told is that for the first time, after spending 20 years in corporate, I have a long corporate career as well, so I resonate with what you were feeling, that you were living. It was, I know for me, it was living up to other people's expectations of me, right? Smart, resourceful, able to climb the corporate ladder, but was it really what we wanted? And it Yeah. So I'm so happy that you said that, because it's important, I think, that we all take that time, that pause, to just explore what we want. And that's a great word to use. It just came to, it was not intentional, but to explore who we are and what we want. And when we are traveling to places, I mean, I love to do road trips with my husband. So we don't have to, it doesn't have to be exotic, but it has to take, I think, take you out of your normal routine, right?
Definitely. And what I was doing until that time when I was traveling, that I also, traveled internationally before, but I used to travel to escape reality, kind of, right? Or to have a temporary relief or just charging batteries. But after that time abroad, I was going back to the same place I was before, nothing changed. So sooner or later, I was at the same situation, stress, burnout again, and I needed another trip. And was the old way I was traveling.
Yeah. So recharging batteries is a good thing. We all need that. But if we don't change what's causing the rundown, and if we recognize that every time we come back to, our the old position or our old routine, and we start to burn out again, then there's
That's
something we need to pay attention to.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So what might people be thinking? What is that, maybe that inner self-talk that might be going on that would indicate that it's time to take a trip, but a serious one?
Yeah, that's a great question. So usually it's people who are looking for the results are around identity and purpose. Yeah. So maybe hard workers that always give and do and think about the next step and plan. And as I said, in my case, never stop to think what they want. And maybe they are not in the place they expected to be. After all this hard work, after all these years, giving their best, they're still not yet in the place, or very different, right? That the way they imagined, and they're wondering why. Or maybe they are, people who are givers, compassionate, always thinking about others, giving to others, cannot say no, and taking too much on their plate, and they feel overwhelmed. So, and on top of that, they are not acknowledged. People don't recognize, or don't they are not feeling that people is already, grateful enough for all the job they are doing. So they arrive to the point that, okay, I can't do no more. I'm going to explode, right? So is any of these situations that they are thinking, if they gave everything they had, they giving, their best to their jobs or sometimes to their families. And at that point, they're in a transition point that for some reason, circumstances have changed. Maybe, the job is not there anymore, or it's not interesting as it was anymore. Or with the family, maybe there is a breakup or a divorce, or, the kids go out of the house and the role as a mother changes. There are different points. Usually it's around, work or family, that what was keeping them busy is not there anymore. And now they have this empty space, this big moment that is like, okay, if it's not that, what, right? Sometimes they don't even know who they are because they've been just giving, lost themselves a bit, giving away all their energy and time to others to fulfill other people's expectations as well, and yeah, help or put needs of other people first, that their own. So they're having these questions about who I am now without that thing, or also what I'm going to do next with my life, because they always done this before, right? And now it's like unknown space. There is a new territory, so they don't know what to do that. Also can be useful if you are in a point that you feel like life is just a repetition of the day before, that you are kind of a loop, like a hamster wheel, that the routine that you said earlier before, that is like there, and it seems like nothing new is coming. It's always the same. So can be also a good moment to step away from your, daily responsibilities and routine, from your life, and actually retreat from your life and see life from the outside. And you have more clarity. When you need clarity, maybe finding also answers to big questions, your life situation change in a transition, I think is a very good moment to do this trip, looking for something more, right? So the difference with a travel coach and a travel agent, one of the big difference is like, it's not about, so the goal, the end goal is not the trip itself, is about this growth, right? It's about the transformation. It's about changing something. And the travel, the trip is the means to arrive there, is the vehicle to arrive there. So that's why these are people who, they're looking for something that is the right moment when they are in these transitions, in these situations, that they feel it's time to close an old chapter and start a fresh now, a fresh one, a fresh chapter. So yeah, I think this is the best time that you can do this travel for self-discovery.
Well, I love the questions you just mentioned, and I work with my career coaching clients who are often asking themselves those same questions. Who am I now that whatever it is has happened, right? I just, who am I now if I am not, in that position, or if I am not uh, managing people, if I am not whatever it is, right?
Definitely, yeah.
And that's the kind of question that causes us to dig deep. So let's talk about why is travel then so transformational?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? Why travel? Because when I describe myself as a life coach that uses travel to, make this transformation even quicker and bigger, people ask me, why travel? So mainly after all this, my own experience, as I was saying earlier, I did lots of research online, trying to find explanation, trying to find the reason why, right, this happened. And basically, what I arrived to the conclusion is that there is two factors that makes travel so powerful, a perfect catalyst for transformation. So one is that it puts you out of your comfort zone, and the second one is that frees you from expectations. So we were saying earlier that when you are, in your daily commitments, your daily routine, actually is scientifically proven that when we are in our routine, we are 95% of our time in autopilot. So we are just creating this by repetition and habituation and conditioning. We are creating subconscious programs in our subconscious mind that actually we don't even need to be present. We don't even need to use our conscious mind because our body knows already what we have to do. So if you put, I'm sure many people can relate with that. If you are being driving, for some road that you do often, and you arrive to destination and you don't even know how you arrived to destination because you were already thinking on other stuff, you already arrived there because your body knew the way. So you were not aware, you were not conscious. So like this every day, if we put, today and yesterday and the day before yesterday and the day before yesterday, we put them all together, we will see that are nearly the same. We have the same routines. We wake up, we do, if you go to have a shower and then you go for breakfast, you take the same cup, you do the same coffee the same way, you sit in the same seat, looking at the same, it's a repetition of the day before. So, and tomorrow will be a repetition of today because this routine is what happens. We are in automatic pilots. So travel breaks this conditioning. Travel breaks this routine. So suddenly you need to be present. You need to make decisions. You need to be aware. So this is very important for transformation because if you are not aware of what's not going well or not aware of your habits or not aware of what you are doing that is creating this life situation that you are having or what you did in the past, this awareness is the one that allows you to change something. So travel brings you this awareness because it breaks the routine. It puts you out of your comfort zone, where is the place that only human beings can grow out of our comfort zone as well. And the frees you from
So true.
expectations is also. Sorry, you wanted to say something
No,
there,
that's
Maria?
so true.
Yeah,
There is no growth in your comfort zone. There is no growth at all. Yeah, that's so
definitely,
true.
definitely. And the other one, because there are other ways to be out of your comfort zone as well, but travel gives you that combination that it frees you from expectations. And I explain that in a way that you are not your adaptive self, you are your authentic self when you travel. So since very early age, when you were, children, and we arrived to this world and society and our parents and our teachers and neighbors, people around us, taught us how we have to behave in every social situation, in every given social situation. So if you are at school, you have to do certain things or talk certain ways. You cannot speak unless you put your hands up, and all these things that happens if at home, at lunchtime. Then when we grow up, we go at work, we also have a behavior to demonstrate with when you talk to your boss, or at home when you talk to your wife or your husband, or when you are a daughter. It's not the same when you are a mom or when you are a neighbor. You get the idea, right? So it's something that is like a kind of mask that we wear when we are this role, right? That we need to behave certain ways, and people expect us to behave this way. If we have, a role in corporate, if we are a director, people expect us even to look certain way and to speak certain way. So we are conditioned, to behave maybe, or speak in a way that not necessarily is who we are authentically. So when we travel, we break free from that. This also the feeling that I'm sure most people have also experienced when traveling, this freedom. You are not free from responsibilities, of course, your daily routines and all the work and all the thing, but it's more important this attached to the adaptive self, the roles we play every day. We don't need to play these roles anymore. We are free in that moment. So it's this combination, right, that facilitates travel for catalyst for transformation.
That's so great. I love those two things. So it gets you out of your comfort zone and it frees you from having to play the roles that you normally play. Because when you're traveling, in theory, you might be traveling with some people who know you, but you're all out of your routines. So showing up authentically, just being free to be you. Nobody knows
Definitely, yeah,
who you are. No,
exactly.
but there are no attached expectations. Yeah. And you're so
No,
right that creates the perfect environment for change.
yeah,
The
yeah. It's
awareness
like
that you go ahead.
it shows you, the difference between who you are and who you were taught to be at that moment. And you see your life from the outside as well, aware. So all these small things, right, together is so powerful when you have the awareness and the intention of change.
And then that creates the environment for you to assess who you are in those roles, the roles that you've left behind that you're now free from. And then you get to choose which of those do I really love doing and which don't I love doing? What do you want to go back to? Who do you want to become when you decide what you go back to?
Definitely,
So
yeah.
it's a great environment for that. I think about the times that I have traveled both for business and pleasure, alone or with family, with my husband, and I so connect with what you just said. There is that sense of freedom that it's like a relief that I can take off that mask. That other people expect me to show up in a certain way, and just be myself. Yeah, yeah, that's
definitely, Maria. Yeah.
so good. So I'm so curious about the kinds of travel options that that you offer for people, um, whether they are, individual or group, or tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
tours, those sorts of things.
I do what the work I do is totally tailored, so it's one-to-one sessions or one to many if in case there are groups or families or couples. So it's one-to-one sessions and we talk about both the logistics and the mindset to define this transformational travel experience for them. So it's about, where they want to go, what they want to do, when is the best time, how long, how much, planning the financials, all this, but also the fears, the intentions, what they want out of this trip, what they envision being a, obstacle, the mindset shifts they have to do as well. So I think the combination of both, that's why the travel planning and the life coaching together, right? Because the transformation happens in the intersection of the inside and the outside, the environment and what you do inside as well with the inner work. So yeah, the idea is the person goes back not to the old status quo. They don't go back to status quo. They actually come back as a new person, at having this vision, this self-awareness, this clarity. So I help them also with a plan of action. So it's like the vision, the obstacles, and the plan of action to make sure they move forward after this trip. I can help them also with free strategy calls. I have also free workshops, so they can get lots of, in my website, there is lots of information as well if somebody's interested.
That's great. I love this. It is it's a unique approach to coaching, and I love that what it does is it takes, and I can imagine that this happens faster uh, when they are taken out of their environment, instead of the work I do with my clients is they are doing it while they are still in that environment. And it makes it harder. It does make it harder. I can see that.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So
Of course, it's possible, but
it's
it's more
it
difficult because of the
absolutely is
challenges.
possible, but it's making me think about other ways that I can invite them without travel, but I can invite them to kind of get away,
Yeah,
break the mold for the time that they are doing that work. Yeah, interesting. That's an you got my brain thinking about
that's
how to
good.
do
I'm
that.
happy.
Yeah, yeah. Um, okay, so I would love to ask you now to share some tips with us, because at the end of every show, my guest brings practical tips and strategies to our audience, things that they can think about and implement perhaps right away. And it's why we call the show Tips for the Transition. So I'm going to ask you, Sonia, what's your first tip?
Yeah, so I would like people to start thinking when they want to, think about a trip. The first thing, the first question that most people think about is about where, yeah, where I can go, and then they start looking for research online, maybe asking friends or people who's been there, what to visit, right? What would be great for them. And I challenge that, and I give as a tip here that before where, they should ask themselves why they want to travel. Okay, so this question, knowing what they want out of this trip, what's the driving force behind the decision, will help them better choose destinations. Yeah, not only destination, also activities. So if you go for relaxing, what you really want is disconnecting, recharging batteries. You will not go to a place that is busy, right, or is like noisy. So all this needs to be aligned. So it's not always the best idea to ask the neighbor or the brother-in-law what they enjoyed, because maybe it's not aligned with what you need or why you are traveling right now. So this would be my first.
Yeah, I love that. So ask yourself why first. What is it you want to achieve by
Yeah,
getting away?
Yeah, there
Yeah.
is two things, right? So this could be one and two, because actually is why the reason why you want to travel, what sparked, what's this, the driving force, why now? Why now, right? What has happened in your past or in your present or in your future that you are seeing that now is a good time? But the other question is also the purpose. So one is the reason why behind, and the other is the purpose, what you want to achieve, right? What changes are you seeking in your life, in your career, in your relationships, and then make your decision based on that.
Okay, great. What's number two?
Right. Yes. Then the other one is seek for contrast. So we already explained how important it is to be out of your comfort zone. So it's something that you should always, it's not as powerful as if you are just moving to an environment which is similar, or you are taking your normal routine just in a different place, location. So it's looking for contrast in destination, because contrast brings clarity. So we are more aware. We could not know what the day is unless we have night, right? So it's this contrast that allows us to be clear about what's the situation. So the biggest the contrast, the better. And also the biggest out of your comfort zone, the biggest the transformation. So this is important. You don't need to go to the other side of the world, but yeah, look for places, if it's possible, abroad in another country. But in big countries like can be the US or even Spain, the north and the south is very different, cultural, different languages. So look for this contrast.
I like that. Look for contrast. You're so right. I think about a road trip that we took here in the US, and we went from Arizona to Montana, South Dakota, Wyoming, totally different kind of environment. Totally, it was a lot of contrast. And you're right, there is a lot of contrast within the countries, within many countries, I am sure. And I've been to Spain, so I understand what you mean. When you're on the Mediterranean coast versus when you're in the north, it's very different. Same thing as when you're east and west, right? On the coast of Spain, the east where you are in Barcelona, right, to the Portugal side of Spain.
Yeah,
Again, contrast. I love that.
definitely,
Seek
definitely.
contrast. That's
Yeah.
such a good
And, and not only in
concept.
destinations, which of course is important, also with what you do, right? Because if you are just bringing your laptop and your phone and you're bringing everything to a different location,
Yeah.
it's not going to be as powerful. So it's about
Yeah.
engaging with the outside. And even if you tend to, do a lot of things, if your diary is so busy that you have lots of appointments and everything, try the opposite. Try to not start doing like a big checklist of sightseeing, but just take longer space to do things, move slower, take more time. So this is this again contrast as well, but with your
Right. So
behavior.
if you're a planner during your normal routine, then be more spontaneous in
That's
the way
right.
you travel and what you decide to do. Yeah, contrast. It's a
That's the
great
point. Yeah.
concept. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have one more?
Yes, so I would say as well that add something that is meaningful. Make this trip meaningful to you. So what I usually do with my clients and I recommend is add some kind of rituals, right? I like to compare travel with a rite of passage, from the rite of passage that our ancestors were using, and still nowadays in some communities around the world they are using. So it's like moving, when you cross the threshold, when you leave the familiarity behind, you literally cross the threshold of your house. Think about that you are moving the old behind. You can make even a list before traveling and say, what is the baggage that I don't want to take with me? What I want to put maybe on hold until I'm back? And what I want to put just out of my life, just decluttering from your life and not taking it back when you are back. And then cross the threshold and go to this new self, that you want to become after this trip, and do some rituals in also during your trip is powerful for this transformation, will help you to embody this change better.
So when you say ritual, what kind of ritual are you talking about?
Can be like, even make a list, as I said earlier, make a list of the things you want to leave behind, right? Things, and can be physical, can be even decluttering your house, throwing things away that does not make you happy. You can donate, even, donate clothes, or what kind of environment of house do you want to find when you are back to your house, if you are back to your house. Just giving away things or donating or trash them out, and also making, maybe making a list of things that you want to change within yourself or your personality. Can be, habits that you don't want. I'm thinking, if you don't want to smoke, I don't know, habits that you have, and make a list, and you can even burn this list, or break it and throw it into the toilet, things like that, that make more real that you actually are leaving this behind. You are not going to take it back. Now you're moving on, and you feel this, that you are crossing as a new person, and you are not taking this back when you are upon return after your trip.
Those are such great tips. And I think that what occurs to me is that people can use these tips whether they travel or not. Traveling, physically getting yourself out of your environment, your normal environment, will accelerate the process. And if you do the kind of preparation that you've just talked about before you leave, preparing for the trip itself and for what you're coming back to, I can see how this would accelerate the process. So I just love the approach that you take. Sonia, thank you so much for being here today and sharing this approach with us, because it's unique, and it is transformational.
Thank you, Maria. It's been a pleasure to be here, and just, the time flies.
It
Flies. I
does.
cannot believe already we are finishing, but yeah, it's been a
Yeah,
pleasure.
it does. It does fly. So I'm sure that there are going to be listeners who want to reach out and connect with you. So, what is the best way for them to do that?
Yeah. So anybody who is thinking about having a transformational travel experience, doing, they are maybe also in transitions and they want to have clarity and purpose. I also want to bust some myths, because you don't need to travel for 1 year. Some people think that they need to quit their job and take a year off and leave everything and travel. It's not about that. So I have clients that also got some results, because you can just twist a little thing that changes everything in a long weekend, right? So it's not about going to the other side of the world, as we said, but also taking, 1 year off either. But you will have more information on my website, www.travelawakens.com, and there I explain, and you will have also, if you want to have a chat, a consultation with me, or even download my free travel journal with my 7 steps to create a transformational trip, you are happy and welcome to do so.
Thank you so much for that free gift. That's going to be I've read that, and it is really, really good. So great tips in it. So
Thank you, Maria.
Sonia, again, thank you so much for being here, for joining us from Barcelona, and from for all of these wonderful ideas that can help people to think differently about the changes they want to make, and how they can make them. So I really appreciate that you've been here. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Maria. Thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure. And thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. I appreciate that you're a part of this community. As I said at the top of the show, if anything resonated with you about the conversation I just had with Sonia, please take a look below the video for the all of the contact information. Sonia's free gift is there. You can find things about the work, more about the work she does and about the work that I do. So take a look at the links below and feel free, just check them out. And also, if you want to continue any part of this conversation, please join me in my private Facebook group called Career Transition Roadmap. And the link for that is below as well. So we meet here every Wednesday, as I said, at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. I believe that it's our time to thrive. So will you join me on that ride? I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan. Until next time, I'm helping you turn transition into triumph.